TAO Te Ching 20. Stop thinking and end your problems. What difference between yes and no? What difference between success and failure? Must you value what others value? Avoid what others avoid? How ridiculous. Other people are excited, as though they were at a parade. I alone don't care. I alone am expressionless, like an infant before it can smile. Other people have what they need. I alone possess nothing. I alone drift about like something without a home. I am like an idiot, my mind is so empty. Other people are bright. I alone am dark. Other people are sharp. I alone am dull. Other people have a purpose. I alone don't know. I drift like a wave on an ocean. I blow as aimless as the wind. I am different from ordinary people. I drink from the great mother's breast. Renounce learning. Avoid suffering. How far apart are yes and yeah? How similar are good and evil? Should we fear what others fear? It's been like this since ancient times. It never ends. Crowds of people are excited, as if going to the sacrifice feast, as if climbing terraces in the spring. I alone am still and give no sign, like a newborn infant not yet a child, so tired with nowhere to turn to. Everyone has more than they need, but I have nothing. So confused. I have the heart of a fool. Common people see clearly. I alone am dazed. Common people look sharply. I alone am simple. They are boundless like the sea, endless like the wind. Everyone is shrewd. I alone am clumsy. I alone am different from other people because I value the mother of all. Again, it's the description of the consciousness being explained here. Stop thinking and end your problems. Again, thinking is the opposite of being aware. If you're thinking about something, you're not yet aware of it fully, at least. Thinking can bring you to consciousness or bring you to unconsciousness. It's like a sign on the road. What difference between yes and no, success and failure? Again, if you move up and down the ladder, either way, the position is shaky. So knowing the core, the external can go up and down. It's ruled by the internal ultimately anyway. It's ruled by certain laws that stem from the internal. So it's not that you have to forego awareness, but have no attachment to the external. So again, other people are excited, and I alone am expressionless because the consciousness isn't partial. It goes towards wherever it can experience itself, and that's just usually growth. So it has no partiality. It's not a partial thing. It has no opinions to smile or cry about. Other people have what they need. I alone possess nothing. If I needing less is being more. So if you don't possess anything, nothing possesses you. I alone drift about like something without a home. Again, the consciousness is boundless. It's empty, so it can fill everything. Other people are bright. I alone am dark because it's all-encompassing. Light is just a byproduct of concentrated darkness or darkness in motion. So the all-encompassing is going to appear dark, and the external is going to appear bright because it's a product of the internal or the darkness. Other people are sharp. I am dull because, again, it's like you carve from the block. You whittle down the block and you make, your edges and your sharpness and your shapes, but the block itself is what produced it all, or where it all comes from. So again, they'd be like, the block is dull, the people are sharp. It's like everything comes from the internal. So the external is going to look more bound, more rigid, more sharp, more quantified. So more this and more that, whereas the internal is mysterious and unquantifiable. So again, it doesn't know anything because consciousness doesn't have to know anything. Knowing is essentially trauma, being in trauma, drifting on the wave like an ocean, aimless as the wind. Again, it's not trying. It's like water that fills up everything in its path and nourishes without trying to, by being itself. And again, I'm different from ordinary people. I drink from the great mother's breast. You can look at it like, the contrast to all the other people, all the external things being bright, and then the the primal consciousness or primal identity being dull or dark and all that would be considered different from ordinary people because it's actually in a natural rhythm as opposed to the rhythms of the external, the matrix, the responses to the behaviors of the world. Again, so renounce learning so you can unlearn, and knowing is suffering. So again, you have your yes and yeah, there's a human opinions on good and evil. And again, fearing what others fear is that, again, it's just coming down to projection and limitation and not really seeing the whole design, not being the designer, looking at the design actually. And again, it's been like this since ancient times, basically saying that, the things are, the world's not to be tampered with. It is what it is to hold its ground, to hold its place. It's a placeholder in the dimensions. So for continuity, it can't change. It's constantly remaining the same through change. Again, crowds of people are excited. I alone give no sign, like a newborn infant, not yet a child, because infants, they're going to be expressionless. They're going to be completely Tao, completely the consciousness. Unless their bodies are in serious duress. For the most part, an infant, when their body is at peace, they're just being present, just total presence. Everyone has more than they need. I have nothing. Again, it's like a paradox of things. Having more than what you need is a gift and a curse. So I have nothing, so I need nothing. Heart of a fool. And again, that's all subjective, what a fool is. Common people see clearly. I alone am dazed. People look sharply. I alone am simple. They are boundless like the sea and endless like the wind. Again, this is like the personal identity being isolated here as well. It's also the contrast and the differences from the external being something that's rigid, and then the internal feeling more pliant and more, even though it's considered inferior in its humble nature, it gets, in its inferiority, it gets lower than everything. So then it has leverage.